Welcome students. This session is for BA second year English Literature paper 2nd, that is prose and fiction. In this session we'll continue with the short story by the famous American short story writer Nathaniel Hawthorne's Dr. Heidegger's Experiment. Before we continue with the story, let's have a recap of the previous session. We know that Dr. Heidegger has invited his 4 friends in his study to conduct an experiment where he gives them a glass of magical water that turns them into a young group. As the 4 friends drink their 3rd glass of the water, which turns them into a group of merry youngsters, an exuberant frolicsome overtakes them. So as soon as they are converted to young people, because we know that they are very old, and just by drinking that magical water, they turn into a group of youngsters, they suddenly are full of merriment and they want to entertain themselves. They amuse themselves by mocking anything old or infirm. The first thing that they do after becoming young again is they start mocking and making fun of old or infirm things. They laugh at their old-fashioned clothes, pretend to walk with a limp, and imitate Dr. Heidegger. So everything that is old to them is now a subject of mockery. They imitate walking like old people, and they laugh at their old-fashioned clothes. Then Widow Weishaupt proposes that Dr. Heidegger dance with her, but Dr. Heidegger declines, citing his old age, and suggests that she dance instead with any of the 3 young gentlemen present. So in continuing with this mockery, Widow Weishaupt, she proposes Dr. Heidegger, who is quite old, to dance with her, and Dr. Heidegger asks her to dance with any of the 3 young gentlemen that are present there in the room. Now we restore to youth the men and the women engaged in a ridiculously subtle sexual rivalry that they all find incredibly stimulating. As soon as she needs to decide whom to dance with, we see that these 3 young gentlemen, they start contending with each other, and we can see a sexual rivalry among them, which is quite interesting, and they engage with this woman, Widow Weishaupt, and they start proposing her to dance with them. 3 men struggle with one another over the widow's young body, while the widow struggles to free herself. So they keep on pulling her towards themselves, and Widow Weishaupt is struggling to free herself from this triple embrace. All of them laughing and breathing heavily. The scene is a lively image of youthful rivalry. So till now we have seen that the scene which is in this story is a scene of rivalry among young people. Let's continue with the story. Up till now we have known that Dr. Heidegger has invited his 4 very old friends to a study in order to conduct an experiment. He makes them drink water from the magical fountain of youth, and this magical water turns them into young people again. As they turn young, these 3 men and 1 woman, that is girl that has turned into a beautiful, bewitching girl, these 3 men, they start contending for her as rivals. So when they are contending, narrator says that never was there a livelier picture of youthful rivalship with bewitching beauty for the prize. So all these 3 men, they want Widow Weishaupt as a prize for themselves. Yet, by a strange deception, owing to the duskiness of the chamber and the antique dresses which they still wore, the tall mirror is said to have reflected the figures of 3 old grey withered grandsires, ridiculously contending for a skinny ugliness of a shriveled grandam. As we know from the earlier reference that the mirror in the room is magical, and there is darkness in the room, and these 4 guests are still wearing those antique dresses. Mirror reflects the real picture of them, and in the mirror we can see as if the 3 grand father-age men are contending for a shriveled, ugly, grandmother-age woman. But they were young. When Dr. Heidegger had converted them to young people, their burning passions proved them so because they were feeling like young from inside, and their passions were burning, inflamed to madness by the coquetry of a girl widow who neither granted nor quite withheld her favors. Now this widow Vaishali, she is a coquettish woman. She is not selecting one out of these three gentlemen, so she is neither granting a favor to anyone, nor she is pulling her favor back from anyone. So this behavior of her turns them into rivals. These three rivals began to interchange threatening glances. Now they are on the verge of quarrel with each other. They interchanged threatening glances, still keeping hold of the fair prize. Nobody wants to leave this beautiful girl. They grappled fiercely at one another's throat. So they are on that level of quarrel where they have started struggling and they have started hurting each other, holding one another's throats. As they struggle to and fro, now this struggle continues, and there is a struggle to and fro in the room. The table was overturned. So in this pushing and trying to win this girl, suddenly we see that this table on which that magical water is kept, the table is overturned, and the vase dashed to 1,000 fragments, and the vase which holds that magical water, that vase, it falls down and then it is broken into 1,000 pieces. The precious water of youth flowed in the bright stream across the floor, and all the water, that magical water, is spilled, and this water on the floor is now flowing in a bright stream, moistening the wings of a butterfly which, grown old in the decline of summer, had alighted there to die. So this water, when it is flowing uselessly on the floor of the room, it touches a butterfly which was alive in summer season and which was lying there on the floor to die. The insect fluttered lightly through the chamber and settled on the snowy head of Dr. Heidegger. But because of the effect of this magical water on this butterfly again comes to life, and it flies and settles on the snowy head, that is grey head of Dr. Heidegger. Come, come, gentlemen, come, Madam Vaishali, exclaimed the doctor. Now he calls them back to the table. I really must protest against this riot. He says, you should not quarrel with each other like this. I am against this sort of a riot that you have made in this room. They stood still and shivered. Now these four people, these four guests of Dr. Heidegger, they are standing still and they shivered, for it seemed as if grey time were calling them back from their sunny youth. Now it was time to grow old again very quickly, and it appeared as if time was calling them back to their old age, far down to the chill and darksome vale of years, because just now they were experiencing temporarily their youth age, and now time is calling them back to that chill and dark years of old age. They looked at old Dr. Heidegger, who sat in his carved armchair, holding the rose of half a century which he had rescued among the fragments of shattered vase. Heidegger was sitting quite calmly in his armchair, and he was holding that rose of 50 years back, which he had saved from the water of this broken vase. At the motion of his hand, the four rioters resumed their seats, the more readily because their violent exertions had wearied them. When Dr. Heidegger asked them to sit down, they quickly came and sat down because now they were feeling quite tired because of the exertion that they have taken in this rivalship. Youthful though they were looking youthful at this moment, but from inside they had started growing old and they felt exerted. My poor Sylvia Rose, ejaculated Dr. Heidegger, holding it in the light of the sunset clouds. He was looking at this rose given by Sylvia Ward. It appears to be fading again. Now the effect of that magical water is fading, and the rose again starts becoming dry and shriveled. And so it was. Even while the party were looking at it, the flower continued to shrivel up till it became as dry and fragile as when Doctor had first thrown it into the vase. So we see this change coming in the rose. It became dry and fragile as Doctor pulled it out for the first time from that book of magic. He shook off the few drops of moisture which clung to its petals. The last drops of that moisture of that water of magic was shaken off by Dr. Heidegger, and he is now holding that dry rose in his hands, which is 55 years old. I love it as well, thus, as in its dewy freshness, observed he. Pressing the withered rose to his withered lips, we see that the effect of that magical water has gone, and now that rose which was blooming because of that magical water is back to its shriveled, dry self. Dr. Heidegger feels that he loves this rose, same whether it was in a blooming condition or now it's in the dry condition. The love for that rose has not changed. While he spoke, the butterfly fluttered down from Doctor's snowy head and fell upon the floor. So readers are able to see that the effect of this water is wearing away. Even the butterfly, which was temporarily alive due to that effect of magical water, again it falls on the ground, shows that the effect of water has now gone. His guests shivered again. Even the guests, they are feeling the coming of old age back. A strange chillness, whether of the body or spirit, they could not tell, was creeping gradually over them. Now this old age is coming back to them slowly, and they cannot say that that effect is coming in the body or in the soul. They gazed at one another and fancied that each fleeting moment snatched away a charm and left a deepening furrow where none had been before. Their faces, because of the coming old age, is slowly converting from that youthful charm to that deepening furrows, to that wrinkles, and these wrinkles are coming on their face which were not there when they were young. Was it an illusion? Had the changes of a lifetime been crowded into so brief a space, and they were now four aged people sitting with their old friend? The change which human beings face in a whole lifetime, from becoming young to old, and going back from old age to youth age, this change comes very gradually in a lifetime. It's a lifetime of a change. It takes so many years to change from youth age to old age. But here, this change is coming in these four aged people very quickly, and they are sitting now with their old friend Dr. Heidegger. Are we grown old again? So soon? Cried they. They are not able to believe that just now they were quite a young group of people, and now they have again grown old, and that's also very soon. Dolefully, now they are very sad at this change that they have faced so soon in their life. They experience this change happening to them so fast. In truth, they had, and the truth is that they did grow old very quickly. The water of youth possessed merely a virtue more transient than that of wine. The effect of this water of youth was quite transient, was very temporary. It was temporary than that of the effect of any alcohol. The delirium which it created had effervesced away. So it created a delusion, and now this delusion had gone. They again were old people. Yes, they were old again. With a shuddering impulse that showed a woman still, the widow clasped her skinny hands before her face. Because Widow Vaishali, she grows old so quickly that she is not able to face her old age so soon. So she clasped her hand on her face and wished that the coffin lid were over it, since it could be no longer beautiful. She felt that it would be better to die at this moment, because the beauty which she was experiencing of youth age was gone so quickly from her. Yes, friends, ye are old again, said Dr. Heidegger, and lo, the water of youth is all lavished on the ground. Now the friends of Dr. Heidegger, were again old. And the water of youth also was spilled over on the floor because the vase was broken. Well, I bemoan it not, for if the fountain gushed at my very doorstep, I would not stoop to bathe my lips in it. Dr. Heidegger gives the whole moral of the story over here. He says that with his experiment, he has known one thing, that it was no use of going back into one's youth age. And he says that even if this fountain of this magical water was near his doorstep, then also he would not prefer to go back in youth age. He would not drink it. No, though its delirium were for years instead of moments. He says even if the effect of the water was for years instead of the effect was for just few moments which these guests have experienced, he says even with this condition he would not drink that water of youth age fountain. Such is the lesson he have taught me. And with this experiment, Dr. Heidegger learned this lesson from these four friends of his, because with this experiment he knows that even if a person is given his youth age for the second time, he does not learn from his past mistake. Rather, he continues behaving the same that he behaved previously. They resolved, but Dr. Four Friends had taught no such lessons to themselves. So Dr. Heidegger with his experiment is able to learn this lesson. Maybe we as readers learn this lesson from the story, but the four friends of Doctor did not learn this lesson. They resolved forthwith to make a pilgrimage to Florida and quaff at morning, noon and night from the fountain of youth. The only thing that they learned was that they wanted their youth age back, and they resolved to take up this adventurous journey, going to Florida and drinking this water from fountain of youth morning, noon and night. But we as readers know that even if they become youth, there is even if they come into the youth age, there is no benefit in that, because they are not going to learn anything from their past. Rather, repeatedly they are going to live the same life, the same way of behavior as they were behaving always in their youth age. So basically the story tells that a person as grows old should learn from his experiences, but what in reality happens is that people, even if they are given second or third or as many chances, they hardly improve upon themselves, and they keep on behaving and they keep on repeating the same mistakes in their life. Now let's analyze the story. The narrator description of the four actually still looking like their old selves in the mirror suggests once again that perhaps the group is under the spell of some sort of illusion rather than having actually grown young. So mirror reflecting them as old people somewhere gives a hint to the reader that this delusion, basically they have not turned young. It's just some spell which is working and making them feel as if they have grown young. More importantly though, they still look old in the mirror even as they grapple in youthful sexual vigor, suggests that they were always the same people when old and when young. So they are again behaving the same, suggests that age hasn't given them any experience or any learning. They were same when they were young, and they are behaving same when they are old. They didn't gain wisdom as they grew old, that they merely got old. So wisdom cannot be connected to age. They were not wise when they were young, they were not wise when they grew old, they merely got old. And it was solely the limits of their physical age that stopped them from acting like young fools. It's only because of their age, the limits, and they used to become tired very soon. So all these physical limits are somewhere hindering this foolish behavior. Otherwise, given a chance, they would behave like fools. The rose is symbolic of Dr. Heidegger's acceptance and even appreciation. A rose, Dr. Heidegger says that he loves the rose equally when it was young, and the same love is there when it has turned old. Somewhere shows that Dr. Heidegger has accepted his life as it is. He loved his youth age and he is equally enjoying in his old age. Of the passage of time and its effects. So Dr. Heidegger is absolutely at peace with the passage of time and the effects of time on him. And this appreciation makes him seem actually wise. And we can see that among these people in the study room, the four of Heidegger's guests are behaving quite foolishly, and Heidegger appears quite wise. The folly of youth is compared to the folly of drunkenness, as if to say that old age by extension akin to sobriety. Somewhere we feel that youth age, a people behaves foolish like drunken people. Youth age somewhere makes a person drunken, and as a person grows old age brings soberness or sobriety in people. The four friends learn the opposite lesson from Dr. Heidegger. In the end of the story, we see that the four friends, the lesson they learn from this experience is entirely a different one that Dr. Heidegger has learned, because Dr. Heidegger says that he would not drink this water from this fountain of youth, even if the fountain is near his doorstep, because somewhere he has learned that human behavior does not change with the age. But these four friends, they are in a quest for this fountain of youth. Rather than learning from their ridiculous behavior, the friends agree to seek out yet more water from fountain of youth. The story seems to indicate that most, or if not all of humanity fails to learn Heidegger's lesson. Because most of the people, they don't learn from their past, they don't learn from their mistakes. There are rare people like Dr. Heidegger who learn a lesson from their life. The wisdom of old age does exist then, but humans almost always throw it away. So there is a wisdom present in old age, but very few people like Dr. Heidegger realize this wisdom and take this action wisely, whereas with the other humans, they almost throw their wisdom away and they keep on behaving the foolish manner which they have used in their youth age. So that's the end of the story. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.